Hello everyone and welcome back to the Calham64 LP Retrospective, and today we're going to be looking at my LP which was released in 2015 of Rayman 2 The Great Escape for the Nintendo 64. Although I'll go over one thing really quick or so because you might be a little bit confused. The current footage that you're seeing is in full screen and it's actually the Dreamcast version. The reason why I'm showing this off is basically just to show off the fact that even though I did do an LP of Rayman 2, I deeply regret doing the N64 version in terms of quality. I mean, I'm not judging the game or anything, you know. Rayman 2 for the N64 was the original version, so of course all of the ideas, you know, from Rayman 2 originated on that system. I respect that. It's a good game on the N64, so if you want to pick it up, please do so. But, you know, just for quality purposes of this retrospective, I wanted to show off Rayman 2 in the best quality that I could, because this is the thing when it comes to the Dreamcast version, okay? This episode of this retrospective is the first one to have the game in full screen. And the reason why is because the Dreamcast version of Rayman 2, when you use your Dreamcast to output a VGA signal, when the Dreamcast outputs a VGA signal, it makes it really clear, and the quality you basically get out of it is 480p. In English terms, it basically means that the game looks really nice. And through the VGA support, that's where it supports a mode known as 16:9, which is basically widescreen, meaning that I can put, you know, Rayman 2 to like the full screen that you see on YouTube. The reason why is because all the other LP retrospectives that you've seen before, the reason why I've had borders to the sides is because those games run in a 4:3 aspect ratio, where I have to, you know, shrink the screen of like the game down to like just so that it doesn't look stretched. But luckily with Rayman 2 it's the one in full screen, and yeah, I just wanted to go over quickly why I'm showing off the Dreamcast version. That's the only reason why. But throughout this retrospective I will be critiquing my LP of the N64 version. So now that's out of the way, now you're not going to be bothered. Let's just get on with this. Okay, well, I have a lot to say about this one. Mainly because of the memories, given the fact that this is, in all honesty, my most memorable time of making an LP, because Rayman 2 The Great Escape for the N64 was the very first time that I decided to record a game through the actual system instead of emulation going on. Where, you know, back in 2012 I recorded my 3DS with a camera, so I suppose that was an actual system, but it didn't really look that great. And then, throughout the years, I used emulation on my PC just to make things a bit more convenient. But now was the time where I could literally hook up my N64 to a capture card and be able to record, you know, the actual game from the N64 cartridge on, like, software and stuff. That's the thing that felt really strange. I didn't have to deal with any plugins or BIOS or anything to get the game running. It was literally just plug and play, and off you go, and play on the TV with an actual N64 controller hooked up to the console. It felt so bizarre. You see, during Toy Story 2, I had plans to pick up an Elgato Game Capture HD, and in the end I did, because me and a friend basically partnered together on that, you know, in order to buy an Elgato Game Capture HD. Or at least, here's the thing that happened first. The friend of mine, who's known as Harry TM12 by the way, was the first to get the Elgato Game Capture HD, where of course he got it and did a video showing off what it did, and I was really impressed by it, and then it made me tempted to get one myself, and so in the end I did. In fact, before Rayman 2 even started, I too released a test video of an Elgato Game Capture HD. In fact, I'll put a link in the description below if you want to see it or so. It's not the most amazing thing, but it basically just shows how far things have come in quality. Because when I look back at that video, I'm like, oh my god, why am I recording everything through Composite? I even recorded the Super Nintendo with Earthworm Jim 2 through Composite, and it looks awful. At the time, I thought, oh wow, look at this, I can capture an actual system, and it looks great. I was really, really chuffed, you know, when I got the Elgato Game Capture HD. But looking back at it in retrospective, it's not really that great. And I did the same too with the whole LP of Rayman 2. You see, here's the thing, even though Nintendo 64s in America, you have other choices of cables to use. You can use S-Video, or even get your one modded and allow it to support the best output possible, which is RGB SCART. Unfortunately, us UK gamers, and just, you know, anybody who had like a PAL N64, Unfortunately, our only choice was Composite. So that's the one I had to go with, unfortunately. Except luckily, Rayman 2 was one of the games that used the N64 expansion pack to great use, where it had a high resolution mode, where if you had an expansion pack, you could basically turn it on and it would make the graphics somewhat a bit nicer. So that allowed me to basically think, yeah, it's fine, because I tested it out in the Elgato Game Capture HD, test video. And Rayman 2 was on there. That was literally a test just to see how nice it would look when recording for an LP. And I thought, yeah, it looks good enough, and I suppose it looks good enough, but I honestly nowadays completely stay away from Composite. Really, my only choices that I use are either RGB SCART, Component, VGA, or HDMI. Those are pretty much the only ones that I pretty much follow because they give out the best quality that you can get when you record from actual systems. So using Composite, I don't know. I don't really do that personally. The game though looks watchable, at least, I will say that. The reason why though I decided to do, it from the actual system alone is because Rayman 2 for the N64 is one of those games that when you try to emulate it, it actually misses quite a lot of things. You need the specific plugin in order to get everything right, where you need to actually get some of the lums that don't really see through walls and some glitches here and there. So I just thought it would be an awful lot more easier to just record it from the N64 version. That, and because I got Rayman 2 for the N64 as like a Christmas gift as well. I don't know, it was just for convenience. As if that's not a catchphrase already that I've said too many times. But I can just remember the fun experience of being able to record like that. That's the thing that felt different to me. It was no longer turn on my PC, plug in my USB adapter controller and use my screen recorder to record the screen. It was literally just switch on, the Nintendo 64 console. It felt so strange. Click record on one episode, and when I'm done, click off of it, and then begin another one by clicking it again. It was just so fast and fluent, and there was no going back after that. Like, seriously, after I finished the LP of Rayman 2, I was like, wow, capture cards are the best. Rayman 2 was also a good choice for an LP as well. Like, seriously, that's something I would recommend that you do if you're really stuck at trying to choose what LP, want to cover. You really want to choose something to where you can just pick up and play through the whole entirety of it, where it is not stressful and it's actually quite a casual ride. It's recommended, really, if you're doing your very first LP for that matter. And honestly, I would recommend, if you like Rayman 2 a lot, maybe consider that as like your first LP. The game isn't really that long, it's not the hardest game ever, the balance of difficulty is pretty fair, and there isn't an awful lot to talk about, it's not like this huge, serious story for you to follow or anything. It's literally just Rayman, a bunch of levels, there's like variety going on in each level, and then there's an awful lot to talk about. And I think that's a reason why I also remember this LP a lot, because of just Rayman 2 as a game. The way it's designed in that gave me completely new things to talk about on each episode, because, episode 1 was basically you go around, you find the lums, and you go in this portal by the teensies. The next one's this really long level where you find pirates and stuff, and it's all just one massive adventure, Each level felt different, so it gave me a lot of material to speak about. I was just having a look through the LP folder that I have for this on my hard drive, and there's some assets that I've kept, in full, just to show off, the production and that behind this LP, pretty much similar with like Earthworm Jim and Toy Story 2, because like I said, ever since Earthworm Jim is what I've noticed ever since I started to keep everything instead of just throwing it in the recycle bin. So for a start, here's the channel art that appeared back in 2015 when Rayman 2 was a thing. This is actually the full screen that you're seeing right now, this is how it looks on full display when you look at it on the TV side of YouTube. But most people, if they're using a PC or even mobile, when you crop it down, that's basically what it looked like for a banner. It was simple and effective. It says Calham64, Let's Plays at like the center, just to show that that's pretty much what the channel is. It's just a bunch of Let's Plays. And here's the LP icon in the background, which is pretty much just the same thing really, just with the text at the front, and then there's just Rayman on this rocket, which is basically found in the Mania Hills. I do think maybe the text could have been somewhat a bit better, but this is through literally looking at it on like a large scale, and I've got to remember, profile pics, when you look at them on YouTube, they're really small, and looking at it from a distance, it doesn't look too bad, so it was nice. I mean, I was happy with it at the time. I remember the intro for this series was fun to make as well, as it was another one of these intros which is timed to the music that was going on in the background. In this case, it all started, you know, with black and white screens of random footage of Rayman 2. It would all fade into different transitions of gameplay going on. The screen would rotate around and then the Rayman 2 logo would appear and some fireflies would appear in the background. It just looks rather pretty. In fact, here it is in full. Enjoy. That slowed down my laptop an awful lot trying to make that, but I honestly think it was worth it. I think it's quite nice and effective for Rayman. Captures the whole magical feel of the universe going on. It's just like, hey, look at me, I'm playing some Rayman 2. You know, over time, I've noticed that ever since Earthworm Jim is pretty much when the production value of my LPs begun, you know, to have a lot more going on, because Earthworm Jim was like the first to use a green screen effect, and ever since then, for some reason, I decided to use green screen effects. Hence, that's why, you know, the intro of Rayman 2 has so much going on, because there was a lot of green screen crap going on. Admittedly, the one thing that I don't like, though, when it comes to assets has to be the outro, as I also thought this while making the LP. I find it way too basic, and just not really that interesting going on. Originally, I had the idea of basically every time I finished an episode, the music from the area that I was in would play and some art would appear or something. I don't know really, it's been a long time and I don't really have any renders to show you, unfortunately. But Rayman 2's outro didn't work as well as I'd hoped. It was basically, you know, the end of the episode would happen and the title screen music would play in the background, which was rather nice. But it was just the overall idea, I think, that just didn't really capture it. You know, for a game that's really magical and bright, it was literally just a black background with fireflies and next playlist and previous. But the problem I have with the next playlist and previous is the way they're bent. You see, I wasn't really happy given the fact of the way they were just literally straight across. So to give them more of a different look, I decided to bend the text, and yeah, I suppose it looks effective in that sort of way. But it didn't really help for YouTube annotations, given the fact that, you know, that YouTube's annotations were literally just a rectangle that you could put around it. And it was really annoying to know where to put it around text that bends. This is why I could see, you know, that when YouTubers put text up and they put an annotation over it, they make sure it's straight, because that's pretty much all the options, you know, that YouTube has whenever you add annotations. Even though nowadays annotations have ended and now it's end screens. How things have changed over time. So, I don't really like the outro, I will be honest. I think a lot more could have been added to it, but hey, it was an outro at the end of the day. It only ran for a couple of seconds, and you learn from your mistakes over time. I remember having a hell of a time, though, playing through this game. Like, from beginning to end, I completely enjoyed, you know, recording Rayman 2 for the N64. Like I said before, I think it was given the fact that I was actually recording it from the N64, so I didn't have to worry about anything. It was really comfy recording it, and you can tell basically just by how I talk and the tone of my voice in certain episodes, you know. I even recorded episodes in bulk as well, because that was another thing that I couldn't really do a lot of with emulation. Certain games I could do that, but a lot of the times when I just recorded on an emulator, it was just one take and that was it for the day, just end it. Or at least, you know, just a couple more takes, but I couldn't really do a lot, given the fact that, you know, my screen recorder took up an awful lot of gigabytes of memory, so I didn't really want to overwork my laptop at the time. But with Rayman 2, it was literally just click record, begin the episode, when I'm done, click off of it, click again, and then do it as many times as I liked, because, you know, they were all stored on the Elgato Game Capture HD software, and I could render it out. Let's just say, basically, you know, the LP felt really casual when it came to recording it. I didn't have to worry about massive setups or anything. That's the thing. I always remember the day when I recorded around 4 to 5 episodes, and the 5th episode, by the way, guys, was the grand finale. So basically, I spent the whole day literally finishing off the game. I was that into the LP and loving it. It was brilliant. And what I was saying about before with Rayman 2 being an easy game, it's even like that if you plan to 100% the game. Collecting all the lums and that, I don't really think is tedious or anything. It's just a nice, casual ride from beginning to end, whether or not you go for an any percent run or 100%. It's just got a good balance, I find. And this game has had so many ports that I don't really need to list all of them. I own enough. Remember what I said at the very beginning of this episode's retrospective? I think you can see why I chose, to show off the Dreamcast version. When I keep flicking back to the N64 LP, you can see just how choppy the frame rate is and the video quality. And then when you jump straight back to the version that you're seeing right now, it's just, there's no competition. The Dreamcast version is just, it runs amazing for Rayman 2. It's bloody fantastic. It's got smooth 60 frames per second, widescreen mode, VGA support. It's so good. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say really about Rayman 2 for the N64. It's an LP that's strong in my memories, mainly the fact that it was the very first one where I switched over to recording on actual systems, meaning, it was so comfy and different for me, and that's what I remember about it the most, and the fact that Rayman 2 was a good choice for an LP, given the fact of how casual the game was, and, I don't know, it's just in my memories and it makes me nostalgic, which is weird because that was 2015, isn't it weird to call 2015 nostalgic now? Like, good god, time is going by way too fast. So, join me next time where I'm going to be talking about my next LP, which was Crash Twinsanity for the PS2. And oh man, like with this one, the footage that you saw of Rayman 2 will also be better when we get to the Crash Twinsanity, because I did not like the way I recorded that one, and I'll explain all about it when it comes out. So, see you in the next one. To see the next episode of this retrospective series, go to here. To see the full playlist of this series going on, go to here. To see the original LP of the one I have critiqued, go to here. Or even consider subscribing to the channel by going to here instead. Thank you for watching.